Hi, everybody. If anybody's there yet, I always try to go, you know, a minute or so early. First of all, when you go live on Facebook, I don't know if you guys have done it, but when you go live, or at least the way I'm doing it, and you hit the go live button, it takes a little bit. It goes, that circle, that, which is fine here because then it does three, two, one. But don't you hate that circle when you're working on something and you're trying to find something out and you Google it and it's going, I hate that. Um, it's Thursday. Look at you. Look at all of you prompt. Beth Malik, you're prompt saying hi. And Deanna Pelletier. Am I saying that right or am I a little too French? Is it Pelletier. Debbie. Hey, Deb. How you doing? Debbie was one of my assistants for years and years and years. She says, hi, sunshine. Yeah, but how dreary and cold is it today here in the New York metropolitan area? You're out on Long Island, Deb. I'm in Connecticut. It's wet. And yet my Kim, who's 15, she just went out in it and ran the hill that I power walk on. Every now and then I jog, but Pat Widow, am I saying it right? Wittow? Hi, Cheryl Frost. Here we are again. You're in Cooper City, Florida. Boy, I bet you it's beautiful down there. You guys know because I've told you that my husband is down there in West Palm Beach, and every now and then he calls me from the pool. Marty from Pennsylvania. Oh, you have wind and rain there too? Yeah, I'll bet. Cindy French Shaked. I don't know if I've got these right. One of these days, you guys are going to tell me how to give me the pronunciation of your names. Deborah Robertson, I love you in purple. I figured it was where I am, it's a cozy sweatshirt day. And I like to have the purple. And then you comment on my purple glasses. And I dressed weather appropriate since today, you know who I'm interviewing. Drum roll. Spencer Christian. Wasn't it fun the other day with Charlie Gibson? Oh my God, he's just such a great guy. And I got to tell you, I called him and said, you have to go and read the comments. Just take an hour because there's over 1,000 of them. But read them because you're going to see what people say and you're going to see that you're really going to understand what you meant to people and what it was like for the way we woke people up in the morning. Because, I remember when I was at GMA, I knew it was my attitude, my exuberance for the day that was going to really affect you when you turned it on before the news I was delivering. And so, let's face it, every morning ain't a great morning. I mean, there were plenty of mornings I was going through a divorce, or maybe I was just tired. And whatever that was, I had to leave it in the dressing room. And every day, I always did sit-ups in the morning because that kind of gets your core all tight. So when you go and you sit in the chair, you're not slumping, you're sitting up. And then the last thing I would always do is I would look in the mirror and I would smile. And I would just let it become that I was going to start your day with. But man, I'll tell you, the one person that had just the killer smile on our show was Spencer Christian. And so many people the other day, so many of you, when I was interviewing Charlie, you all said, hey, what about Spencer? Have Spencer on. Look at Spencer's smile. I mean, any picture I could get for you, he just had this fantastic, effusive, kind of like the boy who just got away with something kind of smile. And and then he would do this. Do you remember that? I mean, whoopsie, here we go. That he would do that smirk. Whenever he had that look on his face, you knew that either I had just said something that might have been a little inappropriate or he had, and I'm laughing, kind of like getting away from him so I won't get in trouble with him because we did get in trouble a few times. And we're going to tell you about all of them. But look at, whenever you see a picture of us, check out Spencer's smile. I mean, if that smile can't just light up a room. And I mean, this kind of smile, look at him, look at his smile. it was just that kind of smile that made your face go into a smile. And this, I mean, there are so many pictures I could show you, but this just took me back in time to the three of us sitting there. Here we're listening to Charlie. Look at the smile again on Spencer's face. It was, I mean, you guys were so amazing, all of you, the other day with all your comments, and everybody was commenting back and forth with each other. So I hope you guys all do that again this morning. I think I let most of the GMA people know that I'm going to be talking to Spencer. Anyone who ever watched GMA over the years, you know that the jovial jokester, he was a jokester, was Spencer Christian, and he was our weatherman. And he also sat in with me often when Charlie was gone. He started his career in Richmond, Virginia. I think that's where he was born. And he started at the station there as a newscaster, and then he moved to Baltimore. I think it's our ABC affiliate in Baltimore, where he became a weatherman. And he really started to grow an audience. New York saw him, and so they moved him to WABC in New York, which is where I also, remember, that's where I started in New York. Wait a second, do you guys know that I started in this whole business as a weathercaster? Well, back in those days, they called us weather girls. And maybe for good reason. I remember I saw a picture. I don't know if I have the picture here. I'll have to look for it. And I remember I had long blonde hair. And I remember one of my first days, I wore this little white leather jacket that matched the white hot pants. Do you remember? They were like shorts, but we wore them like a suit, and they were called a hot pants. And I had on, just to finish out the outfit, knee-high white leather boots that laced up the front. And that, my friends, is why they called us weather girls. I'll tell you about that whole story about how I started one day, okay? But I want to talk to Spencer today. So he he came to us in 1987, 88, something like that. And he was there until he left about a year after I left. And there was a ton of changes. I was gone, then Charlie was gone, then he was gone, and there were new people there. But I want to call him. Let me call him. He's out in San Francisco now. He's been the weatherman at the ABC affiliate out there since 1998. Hey, buddy, how you doing?
I'm fine, Joan. How are you?
I am terrific, and even better now. Say hello to all my Facebook friends.
Hello, everybody. Hello to all of Joan's Facebook friends and followers.
Now, you were on the other day when I had Charlie on, because I saw you leaving messages. Did you see how many people were saying, hi, Spencer and Joan, have Spencer on?
I loved it. I loved every minute of it. I did. Yeah, it was just, it was great. It just gave me a flood of wonderful memories from our GMA days.
That's for sure. So here in the Connecticut, in the New York State, the tri-state area, can you tell I've got my cozy little sweatshirt on today? It's dreary and rainy, and there's no sun out whatsoever. You're out there in San Francisco. Are you, wait a minute, are you doing the weather at your station or at your house?
I'm doing it from home. I've been working from home now for, 5 weeks now.
Yeah.
And so we've got this, as you know, this wonderful technology that allows us to do this. Not only can I actually broadcast and get my image on the air from home, but I have a system in my computer that allows me to build my own weather graphics and access all the weather information that I would normally do at the station. So it works pretty well. But you know what? Even though it's nice and convenient, I miss the face-to-face interaction, with my colleagues in the studio. Well, you know what I mean.
Absolutely. But isn't it, through all this, I think we've all become, I've become way more tech savvy.
Yes.
I have to Zoom all my meetings with with everybody in the office. I'm doing this every day. I figured out how to do it. Took me a few times in the beginning to get it down. But wait a second.
I had the same experience.
Yeah. I happen to know that you are a bit of a germaphobe. So wait a second. So how are you dealing with this virus pandemic? Was this like your ultimate nightmare?
It is. But, the crazy thing is, you know me well, so you know that I'm now doing all the things I've always done for the last 40 or 50 years. I was always a germaphobe, as you pointed out. So during our time together at GMA, you always saw me sanitizing my hands and trying to get away from people who were coughing. And so, I mean, it's a strange time we're living in right now, obviously. And it's a difficult adjustment because, you know, we can't go out and socialize the way we generally do. But in terms of anything having to do with, you know, sanitizing and staying clean, there's nothing new about this to me.
Spencer, all of our dressing rooms were upstairs, and we would come downstairs to the studio. He would be all ready to go on. He would have like sanitized his hands, and he'd come down. I'm not going to tell about the time that Charlie then spit in your hand. Which then you had to run back upstairs, sanitize your hands again. I mean, these two, Spencer and Charlie, they did a lot of practical jokestering, right? Right. But he would come downstairs, and one of our guests, you know, like Henry Kissinger or somebody would be walking in the door, and he'd have to like, oh, hello, Mr. Secretary of State, and then run back upstairs to wash his hands again, right? And
then I would grab paper towels to handle the door handles and doorknobs.
Everything we're doing now. So, hey, you know, we're all in it now. We all have to do what you had to do.
There you go. Yeah. Well, thanks for joining the game.
Now we're all being germaphobes with you. But
You're making me laugh. You're making me laugh so hard I'm actually shedding tears.
All right. Well, so we'll do some more of that. Describe for everyone what your life was like during those years at GMA.
Well, you know, you and Charlie and I were all going through the same thing. We were all raising our kids, and we were, you know, we had a family life apart from our professional life. So I lived in the suburbs of northern New Jersey, right across the George Washington Bridge in Bergen County. And I had a relatively short commute, so I would get up at about 3:45 in the morning, and I would be out the door by 4:30, sometimes even earlier, and in the studio by 5 a.m. Yeah. In fact, we all used to arrive there right around 5 a.m.
Yeah, we were all in the suburbs. Charlie was also in New Jersey. I was in Connecticut. We all had about that 30, 45 minute drive in, but we'd all meet each other in the coffee room, which in the beginning it had donuts. And then I came, I said, donuts, all this sugar. And I got him to do like toast and bagels. And it was like an uproar. I said, okay, fine, bring the donuts back. I don't care.
I was so happy you did that because I was a lot like you. I didn't eat that sugary stuff in the morning. I would have cereal or fruit or yogurt. And Charlie thought I was nuts because Charlie would go for the cheese tray.
Oh, yes. And potato chips. That was his other potato chips.
Potato chips. Oh, he loved his potato chips. That's right. So I used to get home, you know, in the early to mid-afternoon hours because, you know, I went to production meetings after the broadcast, and I was always traveling out of remotes, so I had to go to the production meetings and gather my research and all that. But my family life was great despite the ridiculous hour we had to get up in the morning because I would get home in the afternoon in time to go to the gym and work out before my kids got home from school. And my ex-wife, Diane, was a school teacher. So by the time she and the kids got home, I was ready for family time. And we would have dinner together and watch, you know, our TV shows in the evening together. And then Dad would go to bed about 10 o'clock at night.
However, I do remember that you really had a hard time sleeping. But I don't just mean a hard time. You suffered from insomnia. Don't I remember you went to a sleep clinic where they like wired you up and everything? Yeah.
Yes. And you know what it was, Joan? It wasn't so much insomnia. I had a very active dream pattern, and my dreams were so active and so vivid that I would wake up in the morning not feeling rested. So I could fall asleep, but these dreams were going on like all through the night, and I was getting up every morning feeling so tired. So I went to a sleep clinic, and they connected all these electrodes to me. I had to sleep with a machine in the bed with me to map my brain waves. Nothing really helped. As years went by, the dream activity slowed down and my sleep became more restful. It probably had a lot to do with the sleep deprivation we all went through on that show, with all the traveling and the time zone changes and all that. But we loved what we did, and we loved being together.
And maybe that was part of the almost unusual depth of camaraderie that happened on that show that brings us all back together so often, was maybe because we were all in the same boat together. The boat of misery of waking up at 3:30.
It's called shared adversity.
Yes. So listen, I have so wait, first of all, Marianne Kirk says hi. She did Spencer's weather graphics. She really misses the GMA family and wishes he would come to our Christmas reunion next year. Come on, make a pact right now.
I've got it. I've been to 4 of them, but that's not a lot considering I've been away for 21 years.
Yeah.
So
we miss you.
You know what? I'm going to try so hard to be there this year because it's always so much fun.
We all get together and tell each other how we just look exactly the same.
Yeah. we all lie, don't we? Except you do look the same.
Well, thank you. Scott, okay, so Scott Snyder, Cass Wagner. Cass Wagner is sorry not to be able to watch Spencer in Florida. You're now in San Francisco. Scott Snyder says, I remember the wine testing in Hong Kong. Okay, so we traveled the world together, and there were some funny things that happened on the road. We were in Hong Kong, and they had these stores that had all kinds of, I don't know, holistic or herbal or weird kinds of medicine that definitely wasn't Western medicine. So we went in one of these stores and I saw these wine bottles, and you're going to find out that Spencer is like a wine aficionado. Nobody ever ordered wine when we were on the road except Spencer. But because he was such a wine aficionado, I picked up these 3 bottles of wine and bought them and brought them back for our show open the next day. So there was something about Spencer and me, like we got into these little things. And I said, well, I went into the store and I got these holistic things and they had this fantastic wine. And I poured, wine from each of them. This one is supposed to want to taste it, Spencer, because this one's supposed to make you more virile. And each one was supposed to do something unusual for you.
Right.
We got to the last one and that bottle was kind of hidden, and Spencer takes a sip of it and I pull the wine bottle up and it's got, I don't know, some dead animal. What was it?
So, I think it was some kind of a worm.
A worm,
looking worm.
But a big, ugly, gross looking thing. And I show him the bottle and he literally spit all the wine out.
We were always doing, especially you and I, we were always doing stuff like that.
Sometimes they had to rein us in. By the way,
they still haven't reined us in.
No. So Joyce Grabo says Spencer is just as good looking as he was back then.
Joyce, thank you. You're so sweet.
I thought I should read you that one. So another on the road story.
Okay.
We were doing a Midwest tour. And remember, in those days, we would at the end of the show, we would say, so today when we leave Minneapolis, wherever we are, and we're going to take, Route 17 to interstate, blah, 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 we would tell our route. And people would be out on this route. We would go under overpasses where people had signs. Hi, good morning, America. And there would be tons of people there. It was really unbelievable. And we would go on back roads and we'd come around a corner and there'd be a couple pickup trucks backwards. People would be in the trucks with rocking chairs saying, hi, Joan and Charlie and Spencer. So we one day were like on a highway for God knows how long. And we saw an ice cream store. So we all pulled off and we all got ice cream cones. We got back on the road and about 50 minutes down the road, I don't remember the name of the town. It was some really crazy name, but there was this big sign over it that said, Good Morning America buses, detour. So we turned. We always had 2 great big buses. I think they were like Dolly Parton's and Michael Bolton's buses, right? They were their tour buses. And not that we ever partied on those buses. I can neither confirm nor deny that would ever have happened. But we did it. One bus got off, the other bus got off, and we kept following these signs. And it took us to an elementary school. And this elementary school had done it. And we pull in, and there are hundreds, maybe 200-300 kids. And they're all out there with their signs, and they're screaming, Joan, Charlie, Spencer. And we start getting off the bus. Charlie and I are shaking their hands. Spencer comes down the aisle of the bus and he goes to put his hand down so he can come around the corner and hop right out. And someone had put the tail end of their almost eaten ice cream cone in the cup holder. He puts his hand into the ice cream and he exited the bus with some expletives.
Yes. So I put my hand down and my hand went into this mushy, melted, sticky ice cream cone. And you know, already established I'm a germaphobe. And the first words out of my mouth were, "Oh, crap."
Maybe not crap.
I used a more descriptive word than
yes.
crap.
And by the way, Jessica Stark, hi, Jessica. She just said the name of the town was Truth or Consequences, New Mexico.
Yeah.
You're right.
That's amazing.
Yes.
Jessie has a great memory.
Yes,
great
absolutely.
Memory. Anyhow, those are the first words out of my mouth. The first thing these kids, elementary school kids, heard me say.
Charlie and I turned around like, really, Spencer? We tried to. I have you laughing tears again. How about in France with Julia Child? Julia Child was probably in her 80s, right? And we were all on these buses going all over Europe. And boy, Julia would get off that bus, hop off. She'd have a dress on with sneakers. Remember?
That's right. Absolutely. And she was just a bundle of energy. And it was such a joy to travel with Julia because, like we go out to dinner the night before a podcast, and no matter where you went, what kind of restaurant it was, they all knew Julia, and they would welcome you in. Come on in. And Julia was, let's go, let's have some wine, let's have some food, and she was just so entertaining and so engaging, and just a joy to be around.
And whenever she cooked a recipe, it was always, and then a little bit of this. Yeah. So anyway, and then and I must say, we all at that show in France at some big chateau, the idea was we were all going to get on bicycles.
I remember that.
And ride away. Like this. All of us.
It was Chateau Claude de Vougeot.
Look at you.
And it was actually, I go with my wine thing. Generally in Bordeaux, the names of properties are preceded by chateau, but this was in Burgundy and it was called Chateau Claude de Vougeot. And we were there. Julie was cooking. We were sipping wine throughout the day as we were getting ready for the broadcast. By the time we went on the air, I think Julie and I were both nice. And then at the end of the show, we got on these bikes as you described, and we were supposed to be riding away, but we were all doing like this.
So, oh my gosh, we could come up with so many on the road stories. Well, that to me was one of the favorite parts of working for that show, being where history is being made, being at the inaugurations, being at the Olympics. Yeah. What was your favorite part of working at Good Morning America?
Oh my gosh. Well, you know what? My favorite part was the relationship that we all had. Seriously, this was truly the entire GMA family. That included those of us on the air and the producers and the camera people and everybody behind the scenes. We were a family.
Oh, and it
was the second family for all of us. So the best part of it for me was the relationship that we had. But in terms of our assignments and what we did, boy, those on the road, those travel assignments were amazing. We traveled to all 5 Scandinavian countries. We traveled to Australia, New Zealand. We did Hong Kong, and we did regional travels within the U.S. One of my favorites, though, was Sweden. Remember that trip to Sweden?
Oh,
in
yeah.
1988?
Yes.
Because the first day we were on the air in Sweden, now you and Charlie I think you guys were in Stockholm just about every single day, but every day that we were there for that whole week, they had me out in some remote location in the far reaches of the country. And the first day we were on the air in Sweden, I announced, because Swedish TV was carrying our show, I announced to the Swedish audience that I had some Scandinavian ancestry in my background. And I said, while I'm here in Sweden, don't call me Spencer. I want to be called Sven. I want a Swedish name. And because a person of my color stands out in Sweden, everywhere I went, I was treated like a rock star. People would go, Sven, Sven, the weatherman.
I remember going out to dinner and all of them saying, Sven.
Yeah. Oh, and so about a year or two after we did that travel show to Sweden. Queen Sylvia of Sweden came to New York,
Uh-huh.
and she came to our studio, and she had not met me on the trip when we were there because she was in Stockholm with you and Charlie.
Mhm.
So she wanted to take a picture with me. So I went over to take a picture with her. And you know how we generally pose with people? We put our arm around their shoulder. I put my arm on the Queen's shoulder, and the whole press corps that was there went, because, you know, you're not supposed to touch royalty without being invited to do so. And Queen Sylvia said, "Oh, Sven, it's okay for you." So I put my arm back up there.
All right, so you just have to know Adrian's on here saying Spencer and Steve Rupanaccio.
Steve the Rube.
Oh, absolutely. And Debbie Bierman and
Debbie.
Neela Nuzzi, Scott Snyder, Neela Nuzzi.
Yep.
I've got all of they're all here. They're all saying hi. They've all got great memories. But you also often sat in and co-hosted next to me.
Yes.
So
Yes.
the one thing, and
I know where you're going with this.
So one day, I don't remember if it was Halloween or if it was Friday the 13th.
Yep.
And I opened the show. "Good morning, America. I'm Joan Lunden." And Spencer said,
"Hope you're not superstitious because there's a black cat sitting next to her."
that caused a little bit of an uproar. But see, we had a sense of humor.
Yes.
And
Yes, we
but
did.
not everybody else always necessarily shared our sense of humor, I guess.
But you know, the funny thing about that, Joan, is that even though a lot of the management people were a little sensitive to that and worried that people might not have seen the humor in it, the viewers didn't complain. We didn't get any letters or phone calls.
They thought it was funny.
The viewers loved it. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
So
and do you remember the time I did the remote at Madison Square Garden? Ringling Brothers, Barnum and Bailey Circus was there, and I got to my location that morning to get ready for the show, and they wanted me to dress like the ringmaster
in tights. You were in
tights.
tights.
I had to wear pink tights thanks to our wonderful, wonderful producer, Patty Nager, whom I love dearly. She made me put on those pink tights, and she never let me forget it.
And we loved it. You were awesome in pink tights. Here's Cass Wagner saying, "Spencer, here's a little secret. Just before you would get on air to do your weather, for fun, you always left the studio. But of course, it was to check the sky." Yeah.
Yeah, of course. I want to know whether there were no windows in the studio, so I needed to know what the weather was actually
That's
like
right.
outside.
And here's Jessica Stark. She says, "How are you and the family doing?" All right. So tell us about Jessica and Jason. How old are they now? What are they doing?
Oh, so my firstborn child, Jason, is 45, and Jason is an accountant out here in the Bay Area.
Okay.
But he may be moving back to the East Coast soon. His wife is from the East, from North Carolina, actually, but her family's in Florida. So Jason and his wife may be moving back to Florida soon. But right now, I've got him out here near me. Jessica, my daughter, is married, has two wonderful sons, most beautiful sons in the world, Noah and Zach. Noah will be 5 in June, and Zach just turned 3. And they live in the New England area in Massachusetts. And my son-in-law is Jewish, so I always tell people that my grandsons are bluish. They're black and Jewish.
Of course you do.
Of course.
Of course you do.
And everybody's doing fine, I'm happy to say. And I am remarried. My wife, Lynn, is a native of the San Francisco Bay Area. She has grown-up children, and she has grandchildren as well. So I have an amazing blended family. And my first wife, Diana, and I are still great friends. And she and Lynn
that's
are
awesome.
friends. We all get together.
Hi to
for
Diane.
Christmas, family holidays. And yep. So, yeah, everybody's doing fine. I'm just so thankful that we have this relationship and that we're all happy and healthy.
Everybody's saying when we were talking about Julia that we remember that we used to have to send a self-addressed stamped envelope, and we would love getting, here's Jane Adams Hall, love getting my recipes in the mail. You know, in that off. I mean, we used to get tons of mail, boxes and boxes. I remember one time Charlie walked into my office and he saw a couple boxes of mail and he said, "What interview did that?" You know, because everybody else thought you were on like one side or the other. Even as hard as we were to stay neutral bias, That's not so
Right.
popular anymore these days.
No,
And
no.
one of the interns said, "Oh no, that's mail about Joan's hair." And Charlie we would get off the bus in some town, and we would be all prepped, all ready to say something fabulous about this town that we were coming out to, so that everybody would love that we knew so much about their town. And somebody from the back of the crowd would say, "Joan, we love your hair." And Charlie would say, "I just don't get it. Like, enough with your hair." Because I changed. In fact, the last day of the show, they did that hairstyles through the years, curly hair, all the crazy hair.
Yeah. I remember the big hair, the not so big hair.
Yep.
The curlier hair, the straighter hair.
What was the worst part? What was the worst part of doing GMA?
You know, I can't. I mean, we love so many aspects of our jobs, but for me, the worst part was being out in the cold on a cold remote. Because everybody who worked on the show knew that I had a very low tolerance for cold weather.
Yes, you did. He was a little bit of a pampered guy.
Yeah. They used to love sending me out to the coldest places, like, Quebec City or Killington, Vermont, or Buffalo, and they have me out there shivering.
No, you wouldn't. You would be jumping in the snow, catching snow in your mouth, right?
Oh, remember that? That was in Alaska. We were at, I think we were at the Kenai Peninsula, and you and Charlie were up at, I guess it was Mount Aliasa, and I was down on a location with Skip Zip the Wonder Dog.
Wonder Dog.
And Zip's trick was that he would jump into the air and bite snowflakes. So when you guys tossed it to me, I was standing next to Zip, and I was jumping up and trying to bite snowflakes too. I think Charlie laughed so hard he almost had to change his pants.
Yes. That was one of the awesome trips. Every time they used to say, "Where should we go next?" I was always coming up with like exotic places, and they would say, "Well, maybe we should do Alaska." And I was like, "Oh, Alaska is just another state." Then we went to Alaska. Oh my God, it was so amazing. The fjords, they took us by helicopter and took us to the top of the Mendenhall Glacier, and we rappelled down it. It was one of the most fascinating shows that we ever did. Oh, and were you in the helicopter with us when we went? We were going to land. And just as we're coming down in the helicopters, there were 2 helicopters, and we saw these big, giant brown bears, like standing up on their back legs, looking at us. And we said, "All right, not so much this area."
I wasn't on that helicopter with you. I was on a really, really small plane flying over what they call the ice fields at a low altitude, which was fascinating. And they took me up to Skagway. And I did a remote up at Skagway, but I did get to see brown bears. I got to see bald eagle. It was some other animal. It was just, Alaska is a fascinating place. It's just amazing.
We also did a week going across Canada. I think we started over on like Nova Scotia and then went all the way to Vancouver. Maybe we did the opposite way. But when we were right in the middle, I don't remember what it was called, right in the middle, and we were at this amazing resort. And one of the production assistants came to my room at the hotel to give me my all my research or my interviews. And as he went to leave, there was this giant moose. Swear to God, it must have been 16 feet high. It was huge. So he calls the office, where everybody had set up, and said, "I can't leave Joan's room. There's a moose outside." They said, "Oh yeah, sure."
Yes, that's exactly. I think we all had that experience. I think that might have been near Jasper, Alberta, but you're right. It was an amazing resort. But I came out of my little cabin that morning, and I saw it was like a family of moose.
And they're huge. They're so tall.
They are. Oh, they're really young. And I was afraid to walk past them to get to my location. But eventually, I just had to be brave and walk by. They ignored me. It was like they didn't even see me.
So do you love San Francisco? We all figured that you moved to San Francisco because it was next to wine country. Is there some validity to that move?
That was part of the attraction. I do love San Francisco. It's a great city.
It's a beautiful city.
It absolutely is. You can see why Tony Bennett left his heart there. It's such a
I lived there for a few years. I loved it. Except I think that walking the streets from my apartment to where I was working, which was at the stock exchange, I think that did my feet in forever, which is why I can't wear heels today, going up and down those steep streets.
It's got some hills. Oh yeah. If you enjoy that kind of walk, it's a great walking city. I enjoy the hills of San Francisco. I do love this city, but I want to make something clear. And this is my San Francisco friends, my Bay Area friends who won't like this, but I still really miss New York from time to time.
It's a special place.
I still think of myself as a New Yorker after spending almost 23 years there and raising my kids there.
Mm-hmm.
Because New York has such energy and it has a pace and it has a rhythm that's unlike any other place in the world. And yet I love the romance of San Francisco and the proximity to wine country. So I feel like I have two homes.
It's the best of both worlds. It really is. Everybody loves just the, the personal chats that we do here and the honesty that everybody has. So I want to talk about the fact that I don't know if everyone realizes that you're also an author. You've done like 6 children's books, which I was pretty amazed by. But you also wrote your memoir in just 2 years ago, in 2018. It's called You Bet Your Life, How I Survived Jim Crow Racism, Hurricane Chasing, and Gambling. And, I wasn't going to bring it up, but you did have quite a gambling addiction when you were at GMA. And I was so happy, and you're so honest in your book, just like in my book, by the way. This is my shameless plug for the day. I do these every day. Why did I come into this room? Yes, available on all. Yeah, absolutely. But I'm incredibly honest and candid and kind of raw and candid. And I think that's why people like the book. But you are also that way in this book. And you can look this book up online as well. You talk very candidly about the addiction and about the recovery from it.
Yeah. Well, there are 3 primary paths in my life that intersect in the book. So I talk about my early life growing up in the old segregated South. And it was that way till I was like 20 years old. So that was a challenging experience. But my parents were amazing people who instilled in my brother and me this hopeful, aspirational view of life, which helps you, get over and deal with adversity. And then I talk about my family life, my career, of course, my career assignments and my times at GMA with you and Charlie, and the excitement and the fulfilling aspects of my career. And then I talk about the fact that I developed this gambling addiction that went on from basically the late 1970s, 78, 79, 80, right around there, till about 2010 or 12. And it was almost
and it caused you a lot of despair.
Yeah, it did. A lot of despair, because it was almost like I was living a double life. I was the happy, joyful person that you saw in GMA every day. That joy was real. My family gave me a lot of joy. My work gave me a lot of joy. But I had this addiction, and I was losing money, and I was always in debt and worrying about how to not only keep everything in balance financially, but keep the world from finding out that a smart person could make such foolish choices. So, I was tormented by that for years and years until I arrived at the point between 2010 and 2012 where I finally decided I've had enough of this, and it's just not fun anymore. It's too much torture.
Well, I want you to know that right here, Cass Wagner is saying, Spencer, I read your book, You Bet Your Life, and I literally couldn't put it down. Brooke Sessions is saying, You Bet Your Life, I'm going to go and get Spencer's book now.
Wow, Brooke.
Yeah, so it's written with incredible authenticity about real issues that people suffer with in life. And I was just so happy to hear about the recovery.
Well, thank you, Joan. I think it's important. It was important for me to share my story. First, it was a cathartic experience for me to
healing.
It relieved me of all this guilt and shame that I carried for so many years. But more important than that, perhaps, is that this book can be helpful to other people who are facing whatever kind of difficulty or fears or challenges. And I figured if someone in the public eye can say, hey, look, I'm human too, I'm flawed too, I made mistakes too, maybe it can encourage other people to face their demons, you know?
Here's someone named Sherry Pollard. Hi, Sherry. Joan's very honest in her book, but that's what we all need, total honesty. It's helping others so much with the same struggles. Good job, Spencer. It's nice to know that role models are human too.
Thank you, Sherry. Yeah, she said it all.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Spencer, this has been absolutely great. Come back sometime and we'll spill some more stories about our days at GMA, okay?
Joan, I would love to come back. It's so great to be with you, and I love you, love you, love you.
All right. Bye, babe.
Bye. See ya.
He's such a great guy. I have a really great interview tomorrow, too. You're going to love her. Lisa, otherwise known as Lisa Gibbons, but she's one of those few people in the world that everybody knows her just by her first name, Lisa. And we've had incredibly parallel careers, you know, both having talk shows, both going through divorce, both marrying later, both marrying younger men, both having kids, bringing them to work. It's almost like we were like separated at birth or something. And I'm excited to have her with. You are going to love Lisa. You really are. I want to tell you also about Monday. I'm going to have this guy, Scott Augenbaum, and he wrote this book, The Secret to Cybersecurity. Now, the reason why you are going to love this interview, a simple plan to protect your family and business from cybercrime. He was with the FBI for a long time in charge of cybersecurity. And he says that a lot of the crimes could have been, not happened because if they just done 4 simple things. And I don't know what the 4 simple things are yet. I haven't gotten that far in the book. But right now we're all on Facebook Live. We're all on Zoom. And we'll talk about that too, because there was just a big study done by a bunch of researchers and journalists about how it's so easy to get on Zoom. However, one of the problems with Zoom is that it's so easy to have hackers come in and all of a sudden, like Zoom bomb, I guess is a new word, your group, your business meeting with not so nice pictures and stuff. I'm also going to do another interview. I'm going to tape it later today. All right. And my publisher has arranged this, Jonathan Merck, Forefront Books, and he also represents Peggy Rowe. Now, you guys probably recognize Mike Rowe, right? You've seen him everywhere. He's got shows on different networks at Discovery. Someone's Got to Do It, Dirty Jobs. He's also been in a lot of commercials. And his mom, Peggy Rowe, started like appearing on some of his shows. She was in the Viva paper towel commercial. Like when you meet her, you're probably going to say, oh yeah, but she's become like this viral sensation. She's written these books. They hit the New York Times bestseller list. She's kind of the present day Irma Bombeck. Remember Irma Bombeck? We had her on all the time on Good Morning America. One of my favorite things she used to say is, cleaning up after your kids is kind of like digging out your driveway while it's still snowing. I almost couldn't remember that. So I'm going to do the interview on Zoom, and we're going to play it. I'll probably play it Friday afternoon. I'll tell you tomorrow for sure if we're going to play it Friday or Sunday. But it's a special offer that my publisher is going to make to buy both books. It's like buy one get one free, and they guarantee that they'll get there by Mother's Day. So it's because she writes as like a mom of a celebrity son. And I can't help but think of my mom, Glitzy Gladdy. And I write about my Glitzy Gladdy. And one of the nicest things is that people have said to me, like right here, I feel like I knew your mom, like she was a friend. God, if my mom only could know that, it would be awesome. So, but there's been a lot of things that we have in common. And I'm really excited to interview her this afternoon. And tomorrow, while I'm interviewing Lisa, at the end of the show, I'll tell you when this is going to run. It's a matter of how fast they can get the interview turned around. It'll probably be tomorrow afternoon, but it's going to be a special Mother's Day offering. All right, everybody, enough promos. I'm going to say goodbye. Everybody stay safe. I know a lot of states are opening up by tomorrow. Just don't get too cocky and still be careful. All right, everybody, namaste. Bye.